Hello and welcome back to revise GCSE history.co.uk. This is the fifth and final video in the topic of Renaissance medicine, and in this video today we're going to be looking at medical healers in the Renaissance, and then that'll be everything for the Renaissance topic, and on to medicine in the 19th century. Okay, so medical healers in the Renaissance. So, I'm going to group this video into unlicensed healers and licensed healers. By unlicensed healers, I mean people that weren't doctors, physicians, surgeons, that sort of stuff. So, wise woman. There was a wise woman in every town or village. They were trusted because of their knowledge of herbs and other treatments. If a treatment went wrong, then they might be accused of being a witch. So a wise woman was just a lady who had no medical knowledge, but just some knowledge of herbs and other sort of treatments similar to that. Lady of the Manor, they were girls from wealthy families, and books were written especially to give advice to ladies of the manor. Some read medical textbooks, and they treated people from their village and local farms. So Lady of the Manors might have more medical knowledge than wise women who just experimented with herbs and things such as that. Family were also unlicensed healers. Wife or mother of the patient is likely to heal you, and they are likely to be the first person to treat nearly all sicknesses. Up here there's some lyrics from a song by The Scaffold called Lily the Pink, and by Lily the Pink they are referring to Lydia Pinkham, who created the medicinal compound, which was a herb medicine, and the medicinal compound was what they called a patent medicine, and that aimed to treat sort of every illness there was. So it says, "We'll drink a drink a drink to Lily the Pink, the Pink, the Pink, the saviour of the human race, for she invented medicinal compound, most efficacious in every case." So if you want to listen to that song, that's where to find it. Quite a good song. I can't play it in the video, unfortunately, due to copyright reasons. Alright, so another group of unlicensed healers, what we've not talked about, is Quack Doctors. They were unqualified, untrained doctors who sold their own medicines and could be very addictive. Quack Doctors travelled up and down the country and sold medicines from portable stages in the street. Often a monkey was involved in their act, so it's like sort of a magic and mysterious thing. It was cheaper to see a quack doctor than a proper doctor, so for that reason they were quite popular. Often more scientific medicines also didn't work, and there was also no legislation or law that made it illegal to become a quack doctor. It was not until the late 1800s when quackery was made illegal, because often these treatments that were prescribed by quack doctors often did more harm than good due to the secret ingredients. There were also, of course, licensed healers, people who were supposed to heal people using proper scientific methods. Midwives were a type of healer, and they supervised the last week of pregnancy and the delivery of babies. They were licensed to work by their local bishop. In case of complications, the patient was handed over to a physician, so they were only responsible for delivering the baby and supervising the last week of pregnancy. Another healer is a surgeon, and they were trained by watching and copying other surgeons surgeons were trained by watching and copying other surgeons in a long apprenticeship. Surgeons were given licenses by the local bishop, and often they were looked down on by physicians as second-class doctors because surgeons didn't have the medical knowledge and the training that physicians had. They were rather practical people. Although it is worth saying, although they were looked down on by physicians as second-class doctors, their practical skills were eventually highly valued. Mixed medicines prescribed by physicians. They were not supposed to treat the sick, but many did so for a small fee, especially if the sick were poor and begged them to treat them. And finally, the last healer that we're going to look at is the physician. These were fully qualified doctors who had studied at university. Often they had to study for 14 years to become a physician. They were all men. Women were not allowed to become doctors, although women could become midwives, apothecaries, and ladies of the manor and wise women in terms of healers, but physicians were not allowed to be women. and physicians knew the work of Galen, Vesalius, Harvey, Paré and other individuals up to this date. and physicians often charged large fees, which made unlicensed healers a popular option for poorer people. Only wealthy people tended to actually see the licensed healers, such as surgeons and physicians. So that's all the knowledge we need to cover for the video today. To finish off, usual sort of flavour, 4 quick questions based on the content of this video. You may wish to pause the video in this position and jot down some answers to these questions. If not, carry on watching and we'll attempt them together. So the answer to the questions: who were quack doctors and what did they sell? They were untrained and unlicensed. They were untrained and unlicensed healers, and they sold patent medicines. And patent medicines are medicines that do not actually work as they are advertised or as they are sold. Why were wise women trusted? Because of their broad knowledge, deep knowledge or whatever. Deep knowledge of herbs. That's why they were trusted. Who would become a physician in the Renaissance? Only men were allowed to become physicians. They studied at university, from wealthy backgrounds typically. So only men, women were not allowed to become them. And how did surgeons learn to operate on their patients? They had a long apprenticeship. They watched other surgeons, copied their methods. So there we are. Oops, just gone over that. There are the answers to the quick 4 questions for this video today. Thanks for watching this video today. This is the last video in the topic of Renaissance medicine. The next topic of videos we're going to be doing is medicine in the 19th century. Thanks for watching the video today. Head over to the website revisegcsehistory.co.uk to watch more videos on GCSE history. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon.